It's Friday morning, and Evelyn Reed is interviewing babysitters for her 4-week-old granddaughter.
Okay, Sharon, what about infants? Do you have any experience?
Yes. As a matter of fact, the last family I worked for, they had a newborn and a 5-year-old.
They sat in the living room and talked for a while. She was quite impressed with this lady.
Your resume looks great. I think we should set something up.
Sure.
Would you hold her for a minute so I can get the phone?
Yes, absolutely.
You two can get acquainted. Thank you.
The phone is in another room, and the most logical thing in the world, really, is here, you hold the baby. Let's see how you do.
Hello?
Evelyn was talking to this person on the phone, and when she completed the conversation, she returned back into the living room.
Sharon? Sharon? Oh my God, what are you doing? Where are you going? Stop! Where are you going, my baby?
Across town, Sergeant Joe Kenda is stuck in the hot seat.
The homicide unit's budget is getting out of control.
I was always annoyed when I was in these budgetary meetings. I signed up to kick doors and pull guns on people, and I'm good at that. I didn't sign up to read spreadsheets.
With all due respect, sir, I'm not going to let a case slip through the cracks due to money. It's not what we do.
And I looked down at that pager, and it says 911, and my thought was, bless you. I just got out of this meeting.
Now, pardon me, sir. I have an emergency to take care of. Overtime or not.
Dispatch directs Kenda to a residential neighborhood where he's met by Sergeant Robert Sapp, head of the Juvenile Crimes Unit.
Bob,
Joe, thanks for coming.
so what do you got?
Got an abduction. Infant, 4-week-old, Rachel White, taken from inside. The baby's grandmother, Evelyn Reed, was inside interviewing babysitters at the time, and one of them ran off with baby Rachel.
Really? Any contact with her? Ransom?
Nothing so far. Look, we're in the dark about this, but first responders were able to put together a brief description of the lady and her vehicle.
That's your grandmother?
That's her.
Want to talk to her?
Let's do it.
The first move is to question the 911 caller, the missing infant's grandmother, Evelyn Reed.
Thank you. We'll take it from there. Hello, ma'am. I'm Sergeant Sapp. This is Sergeant Kenda. We understand that you have been doing an awful lot today. Just know that every available officer will be out looking for baby Rachel.
She felt that she was responsible for the child being gone. When something goes wrong, we blame ourselves.
Your daughter, is she the child's mother?
Yes, Cora, I called her. She's on her way.
Ma'am, we will find your granddaughter, but we need to know everything.
Please, tell us from the beginning.
She says that she's been taking care of young Rachel White for her daughter, Cora, because Cora had to return to work.
But they need some help in caring for this child, so they place an ad in a newspaper asking for babysitters.
Hi,
Hi.
Sharon.
Sharon Sanchez, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So glad you could come today.
She appears to be well-dressed. She's very polite. She is Hispanic, but speaks English perfectly.
Would you have somebody like this who has obviously planned this abduction out? They give a phony name and give a phony telephone number. They don't want to be tracked down.
Can you describe her for us?
She had red highlights in her hair.
Did you notice anything strange about her?
Absolutely nothing. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Then, in an instant, baby Rachel was gone.
Oh my God, what are you doing? Stop! Where are you going, my baby?
She sees a silver sedan with Texas license plates.
And the car leaves at a high rate of speed down the street to the west.
The license plate, were you able to make out any of the digits?
It was really muddy. I should have never given Rachel to her.
You had no way of knowing.
He's right. And don't worry, we will find this woman and bring your granddaughter home safe.
But Kenda realizes they may be making a promise they can't keep.
A Hispanic female, black hair with red highlights, and well-dressed. That fits maybe 10,000 women in Colorado Springs.
Adding to Kenda's concern, this kidnapper isn't following the typical playbook.
There's no phone call of any kind coming to this family. So then you get very fearful. If this is not a ransom demand, then what is it?
In fact, CSPD is already conducting a citywide search for Rachel and her kidnapper.
We're putting out the information to everybody with a badge and a gun in El Paso County and the state of Colorado, the airport police, bus stations, Amtrak stations, every place.
When you're looking at a stranger abduction of a 4-week-old child, any hour that goes by and that child's not found puts that child in more and more danger of never being found.
When your daughter Cora comes in, we'll all go downtown and we'll have you do a composite sketch of the woman. Could you do that? Let's go inside.
Ma'am, the officer will stay with you right now.
In the meantime, investigators head inside Cora's home, desperate for clues.
Amy, how we doing in there?
Well, we're not finished yet, but we haven't found anything. There's no prints on the doorknob, there's no hair, no nothing.
The grandmother said she brought a resume in with her. Could we get something off that?
Haven't found it yet, sir.
She was very meticulous in how she did it. She probably didn't touch a whole lot of things in the house, because if she had left some evidentiary stuff there, then it would have helped us tremendously.
Looks like the baby mother's arrived.
God, if that was one of my kids, I don't know what I would do.
My mother called me and I felt like I had just been thrown into, like a tidal wave went over me and I couldn't hear and I couldn't breathe, but I didn't blame her.
After giving Cora and Evelyn a moment to commiserate, the detectives begin questioning them for leads on potential kidnappers.
Cora?
We know this is a difficult time for you, but we have to find your daughter as soon as possible. And to do that, we have to ask you a few questions.
I understand.
Rachel's father, was he in the picture?
Yes, well, not really.
What does that mean? Not really. She goes on to explain that she had met a man whose name is James, but there's a problem.
Okay, but?
Jim's married.
It was difficult to explain my personal life only because at that time I wanted them to look for my daughter. And I felt like it was just wasting so much time because none of that mattered.
His wife, Becky, found out about us. But, okay, look, what has this got to do with anything? My baby is out there somewhere. Shouldn't we be looking for her?
Ma'am, I give you my word. Right now, half the patrol division's out looking for Rachel. But in the meantime, it's my job and Sergeant Sapp's job to try and figure this out.
Okay.
So what happened when Becky found out?
Hello? You think I don't know? Excuse me? Do you think I'm stupid? You stay away from my husband, you horrible bitch! Cora? Well, you didn't know he was married? Cora?
As soon as Cora realized it was Becky at the front door, she just slammed the door and refused to talk to her.
I couldn't handle all of that, so I broke it off with Jim and I left Canyon City.
Cora decides that she's going to move to Colorado Springs and let the affair die a natural death by her absence.
But then I missed him and he started coming to see me here in the Springs. And then I got pregnant and I told him I wanted to keep the baby.
And he didn't want you to?
No, he was supportive.
What about the wife? Does she know about the baby?
I don't know.
Kenda considers the possibility that Jim's scorned wife, Becky, may be somehow involved in this kidnapping.
What if Becky decides revenge is her motivation? Everything else is on the back burner until we find this baby. We have a kidnapped 4-week-old child that was a product of an affair with a married man. What if their wife decides to get even?
So you got to think right away that we have to put Becky at the top of our suspect list at this point.
So what does Becky look like?
She's white, blonde. I mean, she's not Hispanic, so she couldn't be the woman that took Rachel.
But just because Becky doesn't resemble the suspect doesn't mean she might not be involved in the abduction.
You know, when people go off that edge and their thinking becomes, you know what, I am just going to hire somebody to get a hold of that baby, and then it will go away.
I'll speak to Becky. Can you and your detectives speak with Jim?
Absolutely. Does Jim know what happened to Rachel yet?
Yeah, I called Jim right after my mom called me. He's on his way here now to see me.
And I'll stay here and wait for him.
Good, thank you.
Can we step back inside?
Once Jim Chase arrives, Kenda takes him to police headquarters to learn more about his romantic relationships, both with Cora Abbott and his wife Becky.
Look, Jim, I'll get straight to the point. You're a married man. So how did things start with Cora?
It's been on again, off again. Things were not good with my wife, Becky. And then one night I bumped into Cora. I hadn't seen her in years. The first time I met Cora, she was 13. It was my first job as a teacher at her school.
Seriously?
Well, nothing happened. She was just a student. But then 10 years later, when she was 23, I ran into her again.
Mr. Chase, sorry, is that you?
Yes, I'm sorry, honey.
Oh, yeah, I'm Cora. I went to Washington Junior High when you taught there.
Oh my God, Cora. Wow. Yeah, of course I remember you. How are you?
Good. Well, I just recognized you, so I wanted to say hi.
I'm glad you did.
But you were a married man at that point.
Yeah.
So how long have you been seeing each other?
4 years.
What about your wife? Did she know what was going on?
Yeah. Yeah, Becky found out, not the way I wanted.
Hello?
Becky, you need to know something.
Who is this?
It doesn't matter. It's about your husband.
An anonymous phone call was made to his wife, informing her that her husband was having an affair with Cora.
What happened after that?
Things got bad, but ultimately Becky forgave me. We didn't want to break up the family, so I ended it with Cora.
They had somehow come to peace over this, and it helped enormously that Cora moved away from Canyon City and out of view and out of contact.
But according to Jim, that wasn't the end of his and Cora's affair.
I couldn't stay away. I tried. I begged her to take me back, and that's when she got pregnant.
Look, Mr. Chase, I need to know. Does your wife Becky know about the baby?
Yeah, Becky knows.
An hour's drive away in Canyon City, Sergeant Robert Sapp is already getting Becky's side of the story.
Mrs. Chase, I'm here because we were investigating the kidnapping of a baby this morning. The infant is 4 weeks old and we know who the father is.
Oh, really? Well, I know who the father is too. My lousy bastard husband. He just told me this morning.
You mean you just found out?
She says when this crime occurred, it forced the father and husband to admit that there was a child and it was his.
About an hour ago, he just called me up, told me everything. I knew he was still seeing that woman. I knew it.
Forgive me for being blunt. Did you have anything to do with the kidnapping of this baby?
What? No. Of course not. I just found out about this morning.
Becky is adamant she didn't learn of the baby's existence until after the kidnapping. Sergeant Sapp doesn't get the sense that Becky is lying.
We have to make the decisions whether to eliminate somebody or to make them a person of interest.
Becky had no knowledge of the existence of a baby until the kidnapping had taken place, and Jim felt forced to tell her that a child existed and it was his. That fact alone eliminates Becky as a suspect.
Later that day, as officers continue scouring Colorado Springs for signs of baby Rachel, Sergeant Sapp and Kenda gather detectives to review the case.
We're running out of time, people. What are the facts telling us?
Well, we've eliminated anyone that knew Cora the baby. And whoever this Sharon Sanchez is came prepared.
She comes here with a false identity. She obscures the license plates in her car so the numbers can't be read. This was a planned event.
There's still no ransom note. I don't like this at all.
Stranger abductions are the point to where we don't know what's going to happen. This child could be taken and killed at a later date. This child can be taken and sold on the market.
If a child is taken for the purposes of sale, there's less than a 1% chance it'll ever be found. My greatest fear in this case was that this was happening.
I was terrified that I would never, ever get to hold her again. Because I thought maybe she was being kidnapped to be sold. I knew that our chances of getting her back were very slim if we didn't get her back soon.
What becomes so serious about that is it's a speed event. And move them across borders, get them away from where we're going to be looking. So that's making my stomach turn over.
We've got all the transit hubs covered, but we can't check every car that's leaving the state of Colorado.
Yeah, our best bet is the public. I'll reach out to the press. I'll see if we get this composite sketch of the kidnapper on the evening news.
We'll see if Cora can do the interview on air.
All right, let's get to work.
I think Joe called our assignment editor. So that kind of set everybody into motion. In this situation, truly a life hangs in the balance.
I was told by the police department that I needed to plead for her return as quickly as I could and as often as I could.
We have the mother, Cora Abbott, with us today, and she would like to say a few words. Sharon, if you can hear me out there, please, find it in your heart. It's not too late. Please, I just need my baby back.
It was difficult. I was still in shock, but I was able to plead with her to please return her to me. That, you know, she needs her family and to please not hurt her.
The public response to Cora Abbott's emotional appeal is swift, and within hours, detectives have their first bona fide lead.
We have a pizza delivery man who says he delivers a pizza to Sharon Sanchez, the name given by our perpetrator. Oh my. We have a kidnapping of a little baby, and everybody is absolutely on edge over this. Our first thought was that this child was taken to be sold on the black market.
All I could think of was, where was Rachel right now? Is she okay? Is she crying? Is she sleeping? Is she eating? I prayed. I prayed all the time.
Now, Officer John Taylor is taking a statement from a pizza delivery man who claims to have come face to face with the kidnapper.
So what can you tell us?
Well, I saw on the news about that missing baby before my shift last night, and then on one of my deliveries, I went to this house.
1725, right?
Yeah.
I already wrote you a check here.
She seems nervous, and she wants him off her front porch quickly, and he therefore believes that this woman is one who's kidnapped this child.
So she wrote you a check.
Yeah, and that's another thing. The name on the check was like Sanchez or Hanchez. It was something like that. It was definitely Hispanic.
Okay.
Kenda considers the viability of the claim.
You don't ever fault the public for wanting to try to help, but you have to make a decision when you're receiving thousands of tips. You have to decide what shows some promise and what doesn't.
Okay. Well, listen, thank you for coming in. You did the right thing letting us know.
Yeah, no problem.
Come this way, I'll take you out.
Hey, mind if I use your phone?
Yes, sir.
We will send 2 detectives over to the pizza lady to see what her story is.
When they arrive at the residence, detectives make another discovery that suggests this lead might be legitimate.
Hey, hold on. Look at this.
What do you got?
Well, the report says suspect got away in a silver car. Texas plates, though.
Gotta change them out.
It's possible.
Does that mean anything? Maybe. Go knock on the door, that's what means something. Who's in this house?
Good evening, ma'am. We're with the Colorado Springs Police Department, investigating the kidnapping of a baby.
Yes, I heard on the news. What does this have to do with me?
Is your name Sharon Sanchez?
No, it's Karen Chavez.
Ma'am, is there a baby in there right now?
Yes, my daughter. Would you like to see her?
If you'd be so kind, please.
All right, give me a second. It's my daughter, 8 months old.
So Karen Chavez introduces the officers to her child. So either this kid was able to age by eating pizza, or it's not the one.
Ma'am, we're sorry for the interruption. We just have to check every lead.
Understandable.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.
With the clock still ticking and baby Rachel nowhere in sight, police amp up their search efforts.
It's fast moving. Information comes in, information goes out. You gotta figure out what's right or wrong. I used to call it chaos with the referee.
It's been 48 hours since the abduction of Rachel White. Police are still continuing the search. There has been no signs yet of the 4-week-old baby.
It became very difficult, and I was beginning to think we were never gonna see her.
Somebody lives next door to this person. Somebody works with this person. Somebody in our city knows her and has seen this baby. So who is that? I don't know.
As the days went by and he was working essentially 24 every day and getting angrier and more frustrated that nothing was breaking. There was no place to go.
I was very concerned that this may fall to homicide if we didn't resolve it.
You know, the longer the child is not found, the farther physically they can be taken away, the more hours they're literally in danger.
I remember asking God that if she's not okay, that if she's being harmed in any way, to take her. Because I did not want her to suffer.
Then, on Monday, February 22nd, more than 72 hours after baby Rachel's abduction, there's finally a break in the case.
Sure, we got someone just came in?
Let me guess, the milkman this time.
No, this guy's legit. Air Force Major.
Really?
Yeah.
Send him in, please.
When you get a call that a major wants to talk to you about this particular kidnapping, that he may have pertinent information, you darn sure want to sit down and talk to him right away.
Detectives, I'm Major Bruce Jagger, U.S. Air Force. My commanding officer insisted I come see you guys right away.
Hey, Joe Kenda. This is Bob Sapp.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Major. Please have a seat. So what's on your mind?
Well, I may know something about that missing baby.
Really?
Oh, Major, you have my undivided attention. Please continue. So this major has arrived and announced that he has information that pertains to the kidnapping and disappearance of Rachel Ann White.
So what can you tell us?
Well, there's a tradition in the Air Force. When a baby's being born,
Major Jager reports that when one of your enlisted men has a new baby, it is the custom for the commanding officer and his wife to offer their congratulations and bring a small gift for the child.
there's a captain under my command, Paul Rentz.
Major, here you go, sir. Take one.
Does this mean what I think it means?
You bet it does, sir. I'm a dad. My wife had a little girl this morning.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
The major thought that was somewhat odd because he had never heard Captain Rentz ever mention that his wife was pregnant.
So yesterday, Sunday, my wife and I went to Captain Rentz's home, to honor their tradition and to see the baby, of course.
So Major Jagger and his wife showed up unannounced.
Major, Is everything okay?
Hello, Captain. We just wanted to come by and see the new recruit.
Can't let her into this world without an Air Force welcome.
Thank you both so much. Won't you come in?
What is it, Paul?
Maritza, this is my supervisor, Major Jagger, and his wife.
Hi, I'm Janet.
Hi, what can we do for you?
Well, I was just telling your husband here we came by to see the baby and we wanted to greet our newest Air Force family member.
Well, she's not fit. She's asleep.
One excuse after another as to why the baby can't be seen.
Oh, come on. We drove all this way.
Well, I
Of course you can see her, Major. Please, come on in.
His wife was very strange. She was reluctant to let us in. Then we saw the baby, and that's what brought me here to you guys.
Now this really piques my interest.
So what was it about this baby that set you off?
Well, it's not me, really. It was my wife.
She's beautiful.
You're gonna wake her up. Yeah, you're gonna wake her up. You're gonna wake her up.
She's so pretty.
Captain, it was wonderful to meet your wife and daughter.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, it was a pleasure.
After Major Jagger and his wife leave the house, she makes a startling observation.
I don't know what Captain Rentz told you, but that is not a newborn baby.
She says that baby in that crib was not born on Friday. This is Sunday. That baby would be 3 days old, and that baby's not 3 days old. It's much older than that.
Well, I thought that was impossible. We got home, we saw the news, and saw that the baby had been kidnapped, and that's what brought me here to you guys.
Do you have an address for the Rentzes?
Yeah, of course.
Sergeants Kenda and Sapp waste no time in investigating this promising tip.
They have a 2-car garage, and on the left side is a small silver car with Texas plates with the numbers covered with mud. Wow.
It all adds up, and the speed picks up, because now we've got something.
Excuse me, Captain Rentz?
Yes?
We're here to see you and your wife. Is she home?
What's this about?
May we come in? And please get your wife.
Sure. You can wait right here. I'll go get my wife.
Looking at Maritza Rentz, investigators get the feeling they may have finally found baby Rachel's kidnapper.
She's a perfect match to the composite drawing. She is a nervous wreck. Is this the person who claimed to be Sharon Sanchez? Maritza Rentz looks as if she could be a photograph of the drawing. We say to her, so you had a baby on Friday. Where'd you have this baby?
Penrose Community Hospital.
And who delivered her?
Dr. Cohen.
You have a birth certificate?
Of course I do.
Can we see it?
This is ridiculous. Why? I don't want to see my baby's birth certificate.
Please.
The birthday is the 19th, Friday, a few days ago, 9:41 in the morning.
It was an authentic piece of paper, but it wasn't a birth certificate. I got 4 kids. I know what birth certificates look like. It just didn't add up.
This whole thing's forged.
What are you talking about?
We want to see the baby.
No, she's sleeping.
That wasn't a request, ma'am. Get the baby. Now.
We're not going to go unless that child comes with us. And we're not going to go unless we end up arresting somebody for this crime in that home.
Let me see her.
You're gonna wake her up.
I need to see it now.
When I looked at the child, I knew right then it was older than what a newborn would be. It didn't have the typical Band-Aid over the navel part.
The umbilical stump's gone. Where'd you get this baby?
She's my baby.
Well, this is Rachel White. She's going home to her mother.
She didn't put up a big fight. My opinion was that she knew the gig was up.
No.
Well, Captain Rance was dumbfounded, and you guys are trying to say that this baby is not our baby?
This is crazy.
He actually seems confused. You think?
They didn't know? Let's see what he says.
Police take Maritza and Paul Rentz downtown and quickly notify Cora Abbott that they found her baby girl.
I was in the car driving to another interview to plead for Rachel. Back then, we didn't have cell phones, so I had a pager.
They found her.
But it's kind of like getting a text. You don't get any inflection. So at first I was excited. And then I was fearful because I was like, oh my God, she didn't say if the baby was dead or alive. And then I got another page right away from the police saying something to the effect of, come down right away, we have Rachel. And then I knew at that point that she was okay. And turned around and went straight to the police department.
20 minutes later, Cora is reunited with a daughter she feared she'd never see again.
So Sergeant Snap, he was just walking towards me, and he had her in his arms. And he just handed her to me. And everybody was crying and cheering, and I couldn't believe at that moment that I was standing there holding her. It seemed so surreal.
It was a very touching moment when Cora let out a shriek and said, "That's my baby, that's my little girl." Yes, it is. And here you go.
But while mother and daughter have been reunited, there are still several unanswered questions surrounding the case.
Maritza Rentz will be charged with kidnapping, but we're still not sure about Paul.
What is going on here? Why have you taken my baby?
No, Paul, it's not your baby. It's Rachel White.
Impossible. My wife was pregnant. I'm telling you the truth. Why are you trying to take my daughter away?
Paul, it was a fraud. All of it. We checked with the hospital. Maritza didn't give birth.
You spoke with Dr. Cohen?
He'd neither seen or heard of your wife before.
You know, it was weird. For most of the pregnancy, she wouldn't let me see her.
Does he know and doesn't want to believe? Is he a criminal? Or is he just a fool? That's the issue.
I could swear at first she was starting the show. A few months in, she wouldn't let me see her naked. She would always make excuses.
So no sex?
No, nothing.
She explained to him pretty early on in the pregnancy that they could no longer have sex. It wasn't healthy for the unborn child.
Can I help you?
I want to feel my baby kick.
Stop it. What? Don't touch me. No. I told you it hurts. It's very sensitive.
She would get really angry with him and tell him to stop that. She didn't want him feeling her belly.
Things hadn't really been that good between us, so I didn't want to push her, get her upset, keep her happy. So I kept quiet.
He told his story. Was it believable? Not particularly. But could it be true? Yeah, it could be true. Maybe he's just odd.
With Paul's culpability still in question, detectives decide it's time to speak to Maritza.
So, Maritza, our concern is with your husband. We need to know, did he help you do this?
No, he didn't know. It was all me. I did it by myself.
At the time when she said that my husband knew anything about this, the question is, how did he not know?
I don't see how that's possible.
Well, at first, I really was pregnant until my second trimester.
She goes on to say she lost the baby and decided she was unwilling to tell her husband.
And then she went through this elaborate story. I put pillows under me. And of course I asked her, well, did you go out? Yeah, but I always had a pill or something to show that I would appear to be pregnant.
Look, Maritza, I want to know why. Why did you do this?
I just couldn't see any other way. My marriage was on the rocks, and after I got pregnant, everything was much better. So, after the miscarriage, I couldn't go back to how things were.
According to Maritza, as the end of her would-be pregnancy approached, she was faced with a choice: come clean to her husband, or find a baby she could pass off as her own.
She is reading newspaper ads, asking for child care people. Her difficulty, she tells us, is that initially, the kids are too old.
That is until Maritza came across Cora Abbott's ad, and her twisted plan was born.
She obscures the numbers on her license plates with mud. She creates a false identity.
Hi. Hi. Sharon?
Yes, Sharon Sanchez. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And she responds for an interview at the home.
Maritza says that once she was face to face with the baby, she got cold feet.
I was scared. I didn't think I could do it, but then it was like a miracle.
She wasn't going to take the child, but when the phone rang, the opportunity presented itself.
It was as if God put her in my hands.
Oh, God didn't put it there, Maritza. You did.
Maritza claims that once Rachel's abduction was complete, there was one more person to pull into her tangled web.
Hello?
Hey, Paul. I just came back from the hospital. I had the baby. It's a girl.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. I'll be there as soon as I can.
He apparently is not that confused by this. Most people go to the store on a Friday morning. You go have a baby and come home with it? And I'm finding about this now? That would be my reaction if I were Captain Rentz.
Okay. I love you so much.
I love you too.
She admits to all of it. She admits to all of it. She planned it, she carried it out, she has this baby, and she had no intention of ever returning the child, ever.
Maritza Rentz's guilt is undeniable, but investigators still aren't sure if her husband Paul was truly as innocent as he claimed.
Being stupid is not against the law. Believing your wife is also not a criminal act, even when her story is unbelievable.
My belief is that he was aware of it, but we could not establish that for sure.
We didn't think we had enough to prove anything against him. And the ultimate result in a courtroom was he was found not guilty.
Maritza Rentz pleads guilty to second-degree kidnapping, but the judge decides she won't spend any time behind bars.
I thought it was a joke. She got off with, I guess it was a claim of mental insanity.
Marissa Rance was granted probation and was confined in a mental institution for 1 year, a very, very limited punishment for the enormity of the offense.
Rachel today is a very beautiful, strong woman, and I'm so proud of her. She's come a long way with her life. She's gone through college, she's married, she's happy. I don't know that I could have asked anything more from her.
Homicide cannot be undone. The person has died. They're not returning because they cannot. We were able to provide Cora with actual closure, physical closure. What a rare moment. Closure doesn't exist in my world. One time and one time only, it did.
New York, winter 1999. A city wired on neon, fear, and ticking Y2K countdown clocks. 8 million people rushing through the cold, through the noise, through the sleepless streets. And somewhere in that electric blur, one girl steps out of the light and into the dark. Her name is Hannah Price, 17, high school senior, waitress at a corner diner that never really closes. On December 18th, she finishes the late shift, ties her hair back under a wool beanie, and walks out into the freezing Queens night. The cameras catch her once, just once, a grainy frame, a girl in a heavy coat, backpack over one shoulder, steam rising from a manhole behind her like some kind of warning. Then the tape jumps, a flicker, a glitch. And when the image steadies again, Hannah is gone. No scream, no struggle, no car pulling up to the curb. Just absence, just that empty frame. At 2:14 a.m., a city block that had Hannah in it suddenly doesn't. The diner closes the register. The subway rumbles underground somewhere. Blue TV light washes over a sleeping face. Nobody knows that a cold case is being born in real time. The story doesn't start in a courtroom. It doesn't start with a confession. It starts with a mother staring at a kitchen clock. 3:07 a.m. Cramped, second-floor apartment off Roosevelt Avenue. Coffee gone cold on the table. TV hissing static. Hannah's mother, Denise, still in her work uniform, keeps glancing at the front door like she can will it to open. The last bus from the diner should have dropped Hannah off at 2:40. The girl is never this late, never this silent. Denise tells herself the buses are delayed, that the snow creeping in from Jersey is slowing the city. By 3:14, she's dialing the diner. By 3:16, she knows something is wrong. The overnight manager picks up on the second ring. Yes, Hannah finished her shift. Yes, she clocked out at 1:57. Yes, she said goodnight, wrapped her scarf tighter, and stepped outside. No, she didn't mention going anywhere else. No, there was no argument. No, no one followed her out. The manager's voice is tired, defensive, trying to keep the wobble out. He offers the one useless sentence people fall back on when they can't fix anything. I'm sure she's okay. By 4:02 a.m., Denise is standing in the lobby of the 114th precinct, eyes bloodshot, fingers shaking as she hands over a photo. Hannah at 16 holding up a birthday cake, frosting smeared on her nose, brown eyes half laughing at the camera. The officer at the front desk gives the kind of shrug you could mistake for sympathy. Teenagers disappear. They stay at a friend's house. They sleep in train stations. They run away. The calendar on the wall says 1999, but the script is old. Maybe she just needed space, the officer suggests. Give it a few hours. By daylight, a few hours has hardened into a blunt fact. There is no Hannah. She doesn't show up for her Saturday shift. She doesn't answer the home phone, her pager, her friends. By noon, her mother has called every hospital in Queens and Manhattan. No Jane does, no traffic accidents, no unconscious young woman with the right description. At 3:30 p.m., the missing persons report is finally taken, not because the system is swift, but because Denise refuses to leave the station. She plants herself in a plastic chair and stays there until someone takes her seriously. The neighborhood starts to notice. The diner regulars, the apartment neighbors, the kids at her school who share cigarettes behind the gym and suddenly glance at every unmarked van. A flyer appears on the door of the laundromat, then another on the bodega window, then 3 more on the subway entrance. Missing, Hannah Price. Last seen December 18th, 1:57 a.m. A black and white photocopy of a smiling face ringed with tear-off phone numbers that disappear one by one. The detectives get the case late, Saturday evening handoff. A stack of reports dropped on a shared desk already choked with paper. Missing teen, female, white, 5'3", last seen walking alone. No history of running away. Good grades, no drugs on file, no violent boyfriend anyone knows about. It should help that her record is clean, that her life is routine. It doesn't. Clean lives vanish too. Routine people disappear all the time. The detectives know this. The city eats its own. Detective Luis Garcia is the first to actually read the file. Mid-40s, gray at the temples, the kind of man who carries his exhaustion like a second coat. His partner, Ellen Rossi, is younger, sharper, still angry enough to believe that work can move mountains. They leave the precinct at 8:11 p.m., step into the wind knifing down the avenue, and head for the diner. They don't expect fireworks. They expect the same thing every case starts with: nothing. The diner at night looks smaller than the reports make it sound. A narrow strip of chrome and tile, windows fogged by coffee steam and fryer oil. Inside, the cook scrapes a grill and the manager wipes down the counter as 3 customers pretend not to listen. Garcia and Rossi flash their badges and the room tightens. People always do this dance. The city craves drama until it walks through the door in a wool coat and a shield. The security system is old. 2 ceiling cameras, one above the register, one pointed toward the entrance. Grainy VHS tape stored in a milk crate under the counter, labeled in thick black marker. The manager pops out the tape for December 18th and feeds it into a dusty player in his tiny office. The detectives crowd around a small monitor, eyes narrowed, as time flickers across the bottom of the screen. There she is, Hannah. 1:53 a.m., wiping down a table, mouth moving to some song only she can hear. 1:55, dropping her apron, waving to the cook, heading for the staff door. 1:57, stepping out onto the sidewalk, shoulders hunched against the cold. The camera above the register catches her back, the wool beanie, the canvas backpack. The timestamp ticks forward. 1:58, 1:59. At 2 sharp, the tape jumps. Static, white noise. The picture tears, collapses into a rolling bar of interference. When it comes back at 2:02, the sidewalk is empty. Garcia leans closer, jaw tight. How often does that happen, he asks. The manager shrugs, eyes darting away. Sometimes the tapes act up, he mutters. Old system, we were going to replace it. Rossi rewinds, plays the jump again. Freeze frame. The instant before the glitch, Hannah's right foot is in midair, just starting a step. The instant after, the air where she should be is clean. No blur, no shadow, nothing. A glitch, a bad tape, a coincidence. Or a perfect, ugly magic trick where the city itself swallows a girl and leaves no trace. The detectives canvass the block, the deli on the corner, the cigar shop, the 2 bars that stay open until they legally can't. Someone remembers a girl in a beanie walking past the payphone. Someone else thinks they might have seen her crossing toward the subway, but they're not sure. It was late. It was cold. Everyone was drunk, tired, or facing the other way. Cameras in 1999 don't watch every angle. There are blind spots, lots of them. At 10:23 p.m., Garcia steps down into the subway station Hannah would have used. The air smells like metal and old rain. 4 fluorescent lights are dead, flickering in slow, tired pulses. Rossi stands at the MetroCard machine, staring at the yellowed posters warning riders to stay safe. They ask the token booth clerk if he remembers a girl matching Hannah's description. He squints, shakes his head, then hesitates. A lot of kids come through, he says. But there was this one, around 2, beanie, backpack, looked nervous, kept checking over her shoulder, thought maybe she was waiting for someone. Did anyone meet her? Rossi presses. The clerk shrugs. Didn't see, he says. Turned to yell at some guy jumping the turnstile. When I looked back, she was gone. Gone. That word keeps repeating itself. On the tape, on the street, in the station. A line that doesn't lead anywhere. For Denise, time stops moving forward. It circles. Morning bleeds into night while she sits at the kitchen table answering the same questions from different faces. She clutches the phone when it rings. She jerks awake at every siren outside, every set of footsteps on the stairs. Neighbors tape Hannah's flyers to mailboxes and lampposts until her smile is staring back from every corner. The TV drones with ticking clocks and Y2K specials about how the world might crash at midnight on New Year's Eve. All Denise can think is that her world crashed at 1:57 a.m., and no one noticed. Local news finally bites. A single segment at the end of the nightly broadcast. A missing girl in Queens, last seen leaving work, strange gap in surveillance footage. The anchor leans forward, eyes grave. Police urge anyone with information to come forward. Hannah's school photo flashes on screen, her name spelled in bold across the bottom, the words, "Mysterious disappearance," floating beside her face like a verdict. Somewhere across the city, somebody watches and turns the volume down. Somebody knows exactly what happened between 1:57 and 2:02 a.m. on a freezing Saturday morning. Somebody remembers the streetlights, the angle of the wind, the way the girl's boots sounded on the sidewalk. They know why the tape glitched. They know why the token clerk looked away at just the wrong second. They know why no one found a dropped backpack, a broken necklace, a trail of blood. And they know that as the clock ticks closer to New Year's Eve, the whole city will be staring at the wrong countdown. The days after Hannah's disappearance stretch like a bruise across Queens, dark, slow, impossible to ignore. Police flood the neighborhood, flashing badges, knocking on doors, asking the same questions over and over. Did you see her? Did you hear anything unusual? Any strange cars parked on your street? The answers blur together. No, no, no. Every no thickens the silence. Every unanswered question becomes its own kind of noise. Garcia spends his mornings in the precinct, eyes fixed on maps of the area, red pins marking each location Hannah might have passed. Rossi drives through the neighborhood until the streets start to repeat themselves. They check pawn shops, bus terminals, cheap motels. Nothing, not even a whisper. The case grows cold faster than the winter air outside. 3 days in, a tip comes through. A cab driver claims he picked up a girl near the Queensboro Bridge around 2:10 a.m. The timing fits. The description almost does. But when detectives pull the medallion records, there's nothing. No trip logged, no fare. Either the driver's memory is playing tricks on him, or he's lying for attention. Rossi crosses the name off her list. Denise refuses to stop moving. She prints more flyers, talks to every journalist who will listen, stands on street corners handing out Hannah's photo until her hands are raw from the cold. Somebody saw something, she keeps saying, her voice cracking on the last word. The city moves around her. People late for work, people carrying Christmas bags, people too numb to look her in the eye. By the end of December, the case file is already thick with notes that lead nowhere. A teenage girl in Brooklyn who looks like Hannah. False alarm. A caller claiming to have found her backpack. Turns out to be a hoax. A rumor about a man in a black sedan following girls near the 7 train. Unconfirmed. Then something shifts. On January 3rd, a sanitation worker reports finding a torn piece of fabric under the Pulaski Bridge. Dark wool, frayed at the edges, caught on a rusted railing. It's about the size of a beanie. Denise identifies it instantly. That's hers, she whispers. The detectives send it to the lab. They run DNA. It's Hannah's. The bridge becomes the new center of gravity. Officers comb the icy water below, divers cutting through the murk, searching for anything. Footprints, fibers, bones. They find nothing. But the spot where the beanie was caught faces the East River, and if Hannah went into that water, Rossi doesn't want to finish the thought. The press turns the story into a feeding frenzy. Teen vanishes without a trace. Frozen river mystery, the girl who walked into the dark. TV vans line the curb near the diner, reporters shoving microphones into any open door. The city that ignored Denise for days suddenly can't look away. Then, like always, it moves on. New stories replace the old ones. A subway fire, a celebrity scandal, the millennium arrives, the world doesn't crash, and Hannah Price fades from the headlines. But not from the precinct. Garcia keeps her file on his desk. He can't let it go. Something about that tape, that 2-minute gap, gnaws at him. Machines don't just glitch like that, not at the exact moment someone disappears. He has the footage duplicated, frame by frame, and brings it to a private tech lab downtown. The technician is a kid, barely 30, hoodie, coffee breath, eyes that light up when the challenge hits the screen. He scrubs through the frames, enhances the static, isolates each flicker. It's not a camera fault, he says after an hour. This looks deliberate, like someone spliced it. Garcia leans in. Spliced? Yeah, like someone erased something, and badly. See that distortion? That's manual. Someone edited the tape, someone inside the diner or with access to it. The detectives return to question the staff again. This time the mood is different. No one laughs. The manager sweats through his shirt. The cook stares at the floor. Rossi spots something on the counter, an old VHS recorder manual, edges curling from use. They replay the timeline. The last customer leaves at 1:45. The cook wipes the grill. The manager checks the register. At 1:57, Hannah walks out. At 2:02, the tape returns. Who had access to the footage in that 5-minute window between closing and police arrival? The answer is simple. Only the manager. Garcia asks him to come down to the station for a formal statement. He agrees, too quickly. In the interrogation room, under fluorescent light, the man looks smaller. His name is Richard Ames. 49. Divorced. 15 years at the diner. No priors. He says he didn't touch the tapes, didn't even know how to use them. Rossi slides the lab report across the table. Someone edited your security footage, she says. You want to tell us why? Richard blinks, swallows. That's impossible. Then explain it. He can't, or won't. Garcia leans forward, voice low. Did you see her leave? Yes. Did she talk to anyone? No. Did she seem afraid? He hesitates, just long enough. No. The detectives exchange a look. The pause was too heavy, too full. Rossi pushes harder. You were the last person to see her alive, Richard. His jaw tightens. I didn't do anything, he whispers. They let him go. No warrant, no evidence, just a bad feeling that sticks to their clothes like smoke. Weeks turn into months. The case drifts into the cold archive, boxed between robberies and forgotten names. Denise still calls the precinct every Friday. Garcia still picks up. He has no updates, only silence. Then, in March 2000, a new detective assigned to the missing persons unit stumbles on something strange. He's cross-referencing old files when he notices another report from 1997. A waitress, 20, vanished after her late shift at a diner in Brooklyn. Same chain, same uniform, same type of camera system. Garcia reads the report 3 times. 2 girls, 2 years apart, both working the night shift, both disappearing after clocking out, both captured on VHS tapes that mysteriously glitched. Coincidence, maybe, but it smells like a pattern. He drives to Brooklyn, pulls the old tape from evidence, dust thick enough to write on. The footage is worse, static, warping lines, jump cuts, but at the exact moment the girl leaves the frame, there it is again. A flicker, 2 seconds of blank tape, erased. Garcia calls Rossi. We've seen this before. What do you mean? The tape, he says. It's the same edit. She goes quiet, then softly. You think it's the same guy? I think he's done this before. They reopen the case unofficially. No press, no paperwork. Just 2 detectives chasing a ghost across boroughs. They start tracing every diner in the chain. Bronx, Staten Island, Brooklyn, Queens. They look for staff who left suddenly, for shifts that ended with someone missing. And then they find him. A man named Raymond Cole, former night manager, fired in 1998 after a complaint from a waitress who said he followed her home. No charges filed. He moved out of the city the same month Hannah disappeared. His last address, a basement apartment in Long Island City. When Garcia and Rossi get there, the landlord says he left in December, around Christmas. Left behind boxes, junk, old electronics. In the corner of the empty room sits a television and a stack of VHS tapes with masking tape labels. Jan 98, FEB 99, December 9. Garcia picks one up. The handwriting is unmistakable. They bring the tapes back to the precinct, plug in the first one. Static, a hum, then an image. Grainy, blue-tinted, a diner counter, a girl wiping a table. Not Hannah, another one, another face, another shift. Then the camera pans, just slightly toward the door. Someone's watching from outside the glass. Rossi freezes the frame. The silhouette is faint, but there. A man, heavy coat, standing still while everyone else moves. The tape cuts to black, and in that silence, in that flicker of a man who shouldn't be there, the room feels colder than winter. Because the city that never sleeps just woke up to the nightmare that someone had been watching its daughters disappear, one by one, under the same neon lights. They start with the tapes. They have to. In 2000, you don't have cloud storage, digital backups, smart cameras. You have plastic cassettes that hiss and warp and die if you look at them wrong. But these tapes are different. They're trophies. Someone labeled them. Someone carried them from apartment to apartment like keepsakes. And now they're sitting in an NYPD evidence box, waiting to be rewound. Garcia and Rossi take the stack into a dark viewing room, the air thick with dust and stale coffee. One TV, one VCR that sounds like it's coughing every time it swallows a tape, a single lamp in the corner. They push play and let the city's underbelly flicker into life. January 98, a Brooklyn diner on a slow Tuesday. The camera points at the entrance, off-center, almost lazy. People come and go. A waitress leans on the counter, bored, flipping through a magazine. There's nothing special here, nothing you could pin a crime on. But then the tape jumps. Not a full glitch, just a tiny shiver in the image, almost like someone blinked too long. The timestamp hiccups, skips forward 3 seconds. When it comes back, the waitress is standing a little closer to the door. Her posture is tight, she's looking outside. They fast forward, hours of nothing. Hours of fluorescent boredom. At 1:42 a.m., the waitress shrugs on her coat, grabs her bag, and steps through the door. The angle is bad. You don't see the sidewalk. You don't see the street. The tape keeps rolling after she's gone, recording an empty threshold. Nobody follows her out. No one steps in. Just the door, easing shut, the glass reflecting the lights. The missing girl from 97? Not this one, but the feeling is the same. That tug, that sense that someone was waiting in the gap between camera angles. February 99, Queens. Different diner. Different uniforms, same chain, same brand of cameras. The tape shows the counter, the coffee pots, the row of stools. At 1:30 a.m., a customer at the far end lifts his head, stares straight into the lens. The image fuzzes around his face. His features blur. When the static clears, he's gone, though the stool never moved. No one walked past, no one got up, just gone. Rewind that, Rossi says. Garcia does. Slow. Frame by frame, the man at the counter appears again. Heavy coat, baseball cap, Hunched shoulders, you can't see his eyes, you can't see his mouth, just a shape where a face should be. Then, 3 frames later, static. When the tape stabilizes, the stool is empty. That's not how people move, she mutters. Someone cut something out, Garcia says. They took him out like he never existed. Or they took what he did. They keep watching. March, April, June. Different locations, different nights. The same pattern. Late shift, young women, camera glitches that swallow seconds. It's not proof, it's not even close. But it's a fingerprint, editorial violence. Someone out there is editing reality, snipping small pieces of time wherever girls like Hannah stand too long in doorways. All the labels on the tapes are in the same hand. Thick, blocky letters. No flourish, no softness. Jan 98, FEB 99. Overnight. Side door. Garcia runs his thumb over the ink like he can feel the man through it. Cole. They pull his file. Raymond Cole, born 1956. Worked night shifts at multiple locations. No family listed. No known children. Sparse medical record. 1 complaint from 98. A waitress accused him of following her onto the subway platform after work. Internal investigation. No cameras, no witnesses, no action taken. He kept his job. She quit 2 weeks later. They tracked down that waitress. Her name is Lauren Park now. New married name. She lives in New Jersey in a neat little townhouse with a swing in the yard. She answers the door with a toddler on her hip and fear already in her eyes. The badge does that to people. But Hannah's photo, held up in the hallway light, does something else. It pulls her back. Lauren remembers. She remembers the way Cole used to stand too close in the walk-in freezer, the way he watched the girls over the top of the coffee machine, the way he always volunteered for the late shifts, the emptiest shifts. And she remembers the night she filed the complaint. I caught him in the back room, she says, voice tight. He was rewinding the tapes, just watching, rewinding, and watching. Watching what? Rossi asks. Us, Lauren whispers, always us. They ask her to describe it. She says his eyes didn't look like a man watching security footage. They looked like someone replaying their favorite movie scene. Did he ever talk about Hannah? No, but he did talk about Queens. Said the girls out there didn't know how to be careful. Her face knots at the memory. He laughed. They thank her, leave a card, promise to call if anything breaks. As they step off her porch, snow begins to fall in slow, soft sheets. It's peaceful, suburban, safe. A world away from the fluorescent nights of the diners on those tapes. Back at the precinct, the question is simple and brutal. Where is Raymond Cole now? His last known address is the basement apartment they already cleared. His forwarding address is fake. His social security hasn't been used in months. No paychecks, no utilities, no ticket stubs. The man has slipped through the cracks like smoke. Garcia stares at the board in the squad room where Hannah's photo hangs beside a map of Queens and Brooklyn. Red string marks the diners. Blue string connects them to Cole. It looks like a spider web, or a circuit, or a net that never stopped closing. Rossi pins another note under his name, Long Island, Jersey, Upstate, and circles it. They widen the search. DMV records, old landlords, former coworkers. They talk to dishwashers who say he was quiet, polite, always tired. They talk to waitresses who say he was creepy, unblinking, always there. One busboy remembers something else. He liked to sit at the dark, the kid says. We'd finish closing, and sometimes I'd come back for my jacket, and he'd be in the office with the lights off, just the TV on, watching the cameras, like he lived there. Did he ever talk about the girls? The kid nods slowly. He said night was when the city really showed who it wanted. Who it wanted, not what, who. Detectives pull phone records next. Landlines, payphones, old employer logs. In the months before Hannah disappeared, Cole made dozens of calls from diner lines to a single number in Queens, a payphone near the Roosevelt Avenue subway. No one called him back. It wasn't a conversation. It was a ritual. Why call a payphone? Rossi asks, flipping through the printed records. To see if someone answered, Garcia says. To see who was there. They check the area around that payphone. It's 3 blocks from Hannah's apartment, 1 from the diner bus stop. You can stand there, hidden in the flow of people, and watch half the neighborhood go by. The detectives walked that route themselves one night, right around the same time Hannah would have gone home. They start at the diner, turn left at the corner, follow the puddled sidewalk toward the subway. The city is different now. Some storefronts gone, new neon signs buzzing where old ones died, but the bones are the same. The cold bites the same. They stop at the payphone. It's dead now, metal rusting, coin slots sealed. But back then, this was the city's nervous system. Anonymous, cheap, forgettable. Rossi stands with her back to the wall, imagining a heavy coat, a baseball cap, a man with a pocket full of change and a stack of VHS tapes at home. Picture it, she murmurs. He calls his phone while he's working, times it, watches who walks by, remembers faces, patterns, then one night he decides. Decides what? That it's her. They never find a witness who saw Cole with Hannah. They never find a car registered to his name on nearby traffic cams. They never find fibers, fingerprints, bloodstains, anything that would make a jury lean forward instead of away. They have a pattern and a ghost. You can't cuff a ghost. The DA's office grows cold on the case faster than the detectives do. Circumstantial, the assistant district attorney says, fingers drumming on the file. There's no direct link. You're asking me to build a murder charge on bad tapes and creepy vibes. 2 missing girls, Rossi says. 2 glitched tapes, 1 man who handled all of them. And he could say the same thing you can't disprove. The machines are old. The system is faulty. None of this puts a hand on a throat. So the file doesn't move. It just sits. On a desk, on a shelf, in a box. Cold cases aren't closed with a door slam. They freeze, millimeter by millimeter, while the people who care watch their breath fog the glass. But out there, beyond the forms and signatures, the story keeps living. Hannah's classmates graduate. They leave the city, get jobs, have kids. They still remember the girl who vanished between frames. A rumor grows at her old school. If you stay on the 7 train past midnight and stare too long at the reflection in the window, you'll see her sitting behind you, still in her beanie, still halfway between here and gone. The diner changes owners, new paint, new tables, new cameras. They install digital equipment, no tapes, everything backed up twice. But the staff still talk about the glitch girl. New waitresses hear it on their first week. Don't walk home alone. Don't stand near the Pulaski Bridge. Don't trust anyone who knows where the cameras don't reach. Denise never leaves the apartment. Not really. Her body moves, but her world ended in that tiny gap on the screen. She tapes newspaper clippings on the wall, lines them up beside police sketches and handwritten notes. She plays the TV coverage over and over until the anchor's voice sounds like a taunt. The words "no new developments" become a sentence with no appeal. Years pass. The city swaps payphones for cell towers. VHS dies. Y2K becomes a joke instead of a fear. But somewhere inside a cardboard box in the evidence room of a Queens precinct, a stack of tapes still waits. Plastic memories of a man who used cameras to hide, not to be caught. Cole doesn't appear in any new databases. No arrests, no driver's license renewals, no new jobs under his Social Security. It's like he stepped off the map, like he found a blind spot big enough for his whole life. Then, late in 2006, a call comes in from upstate, a small-town sheriff's department. They found an abandoned storage unit during an auction. The owner never paid their fees. Inside the unit, furniture, trash, a broken TV, boxes of old clothes, and in the back, under a mildew-stained tarp, a milk crate full of VHS tapes. Some are labeled, some aren't, but a few have handwriting that Garcia recognizes instantly, even through a faxed photo. Thick block letters, months, years, overnight, side, door. There it is again, that ink, that ghost. The upstate sheriff asks if Queens wants them. Garcia doesn't hesitate. Yeah, he says, send every single one. When the crate arrives, it feels heavier than it should. Not just plastics and magnets and dust, history, decisions, things that were never supposed to be seen. They load the first tape, press play. A diner, again, not in New York City this time, somewhere smaller, somewhere quieter. A clock on the wall shows 12:13 a.m. A waitress laughs with a customer, wiping down a booth. Outside the window, darkness presses close. No bright city lights, just a parking lot, a street lamp, and the vast open black. The camera angle jolts suddenly like it was knocked, then settles, and in the bottom right corner of the frame, just for a second, you see him. A face this time, not just a silhouette, not just a coat. A man, mid-40s, narrow eyes, mouth set in a flat, joyless line, standing too still, looking not at the room but directly into the camera, as if he knows, as if he wants whoever watches this someday to understand one thing. He knows where the gaps are. He knows which seconds don't belong to anyone but him. The room is dark except for the glow of the TV. The tape spins. The man's face holds for 3, maybe 4 seconds. Long enough for Garcia to feel something snap into place inside his chest. Not recognition, not yet, just the sick electric jolt of finally looking back at the thing that's been staring at you for years. Rossi leans in until her nose is almost touching the screen. The man doesn't move. His eyes are thin, almost hooded. His hair is cut short, pushing back from a high forehead. There's nothing flashy about him. No scars, no tattoos, no wild cinematic menace. Just a man who looks like he blends in everywhere. A face made out of background. Freeze that, she says. Garcia hits pause. The image smears, then locks. Static crawls along the edges of the frame. The timestamp in the corner reads 001322. A tiny digital brand on a moment nobody was supposed to slow down. They take photos, they print stills, they send the image through every system they have. DMV, state ID, employment records, the old mugshot database. They cross-check it with the personnel files from the diner chain. One hit. Queens, 1996, employee photo, Raymond Cole. The match is ugly perfect. Same hairline, same jaw, same flat stare. The only difference is time. In 96, he looks softer, less worn. On the tape, his eyes are harder, like he's already done something he can't take back. There he is, the ghost with a name. But a face isn't evidence, not by itself. They keep watching. tape after tape, night after night, different small towns, different highway diners, always the same pattern, late shift, young women, glitches, edits, gaps, and every so often, just at the edge of the frame, the man with the background face, sometimes reflected in glass, sometimes caught in the corner of a convex security mirror, sometimes just a shoulder, a silhouette, a sliver of profile. It paints a map with no borders. Upstate, Pennsylvania border, Jersey, always close to a highway, always the kind of place truckers and drifters pass through without leaving names. Rossi pulls missing persons reports from those areas. The stack grows. Women who didn't make it home from work, girls whose last known locations are leaving diner, walking to car, seen at bus stop. Local police chalk them up to runaways. Bad marriages, new boyfriends, big dreams. Now laid side by side on a Queen's conference table, they start to look like a pattern. Not a neat one, not clean, but a constellation of absence all orbiting the same man. It should be a breakthrough. It should be the moment somebody in authority says, this is it, this is our guy. Instead, the response is cautious, bureaucratic, slow. Interstate, the DA warns, jurisdiction issues. You're tying together multiple agencies, multiple states. Nobody wants to be the one who says yes to that unless it's airtight. Airtight. As if the air between frames, between one taped second and the next, isn't exactly where he lives. The FBI gets a call. A special agent from the Behavioral Analysis Unit flies in, reads the files, watches the tapes, leans back in his chair with a frown that says he's seen this movie before. He escalates, the agent says. He watches, he tests boundaries, starts with following, then progresses. The tapes? Classic control. He's reliving, rewriting. Can we get him? Garcia asks. The agent spreads his hands. Not on this. Not yet. Not yet. Those words taste like rust. Time does what it always does in cold cases. It stretches, melts, turns sharp memories into dull shapes. Tips dry up, witnesses move, places close, the chain of diners, already struggling, files for bankruptcy in 2008, half of the locations shutter, cameras come down, buildings get gutted, turned into nail salons, cell phone stores, empty husks with 4 lease signs curling in their windows. The tapes, though, the tapes survive. Garcia makes copies. He logs everything, fights quietly to keep the boxes from being pushed deeper into storage. Ongoing, he marks on forums whenever he can. Do not destroy. The city shifts from VHS to digital. Grainy footage becomes crisp HD. Cameras multiply. Every lobby, every stairwell, every corner store. But the girls who vanished in the 90s, in the early 2000s, they stay trapped in low-res flicker, in the slow, underwater movement of analog tape. The new kids in the squad call Hannah's file that glitch case. Some use it as a cautionary tale. Some as a joke. Old ghosts, old tech, old detectives who won't let go. Garcia watches them age around him, watches the city rebuild and reinvent, but the timeline on his board never moves forward. Until science catches up. It starts small. A pilot program. Old cold case evidence being re-examined with new tools. DNA tests refined, audio cleaned, video enhanced. The cases selected are mostly homicides with bodies. Scandinavian documentaries, grant money, public interest, the showpiece files. Hannah isn't on that list. Neither is the 1997 waitress. Missing persons with no confirmed crime scene don't draw headlines. But in 2015, a young tech from the Digital Forensics Unit hears Garcia talking about those old diner tapes in the break room. The kid asks a simple question. Are they digitized? They aren't. Let me try something, he says. Just let me see what's buried in the noise. Gear is different now. No coughing VCRs, no fragile monitors. The kid, his name is Malik, sets up an array of hardware and software that would have looked like science fiction in 1999. He runs the tapes through a capture system, converting every flicker, every frame into data, ones and zeros, glitches and all. Then he starts cleaning, stabilizing, removing dropout, correcting lens distortion, enhancing dark corners, building composite frames from overlapping fields. He treats the noise not as a wall, but as something that can be scraped away. The first time they see Hannah's tape in high resolution, everybody in the room stops talking. She looks real. More real than she did in the fuzzy original. Her face is still turned away, but you can see strands of hair escaping the beanie, breath fogging faintly in the cold air as she pushes through the diner door. Her backpack strap digs into her shoulder. Her boots leave small scuffs on the tile. The glitch is still there. At 2 a.m., the signal collapses, the picture blows out, and the timestamp jumps. But Malik isn't watching the visible frames. He's watching the data in between. There's something riding on the edge here, he murmurs, fingers flying across the keyboard. It's not enough to see, but it's distorting the fields. What does that mean? Rossi asks. It means something was in front of the camera when the tape was altered, something the edit couldn't fully erase. He builds a difference map, compares frames from before and after the glitch, looks for residue, digital fingerprints in the snowstorm. Slowly a shape emerges, not full, not clear, but there. An arm, just the edge of it, cloth, a sleeve intruding where nothing should be. The hairs on the back of Garcia's neck stand up. Malik enhances, Clarifies. The pixels tighten, resolve into something like fabric, dark, heavy, slight texture on the surface. He cross-references it with frames from the Upstate Diner tapes where Cole's code is fully visible. Measures color values, patterns, folds. The computer spits out a confidence percentage. 89% match. It's not a smoking gun. It's not a face or a fingerprint. But it's the first time the machine itself agrees with what their instincts have screamed for years. He was there, in that 2-minute void. A report is written. A new binder assembled. Supplemental video analysis. Cold case Price Hannah. This time the DA reads past page 3. This time the FBI agent from years ago gets a call with a different tone. He's at the scene, the agent says, scanning the pages. That's big. It still doesn't give us a body, still doesn't give us the act. But it gives us him in the right place at the right time, with evidence of a deliberate edit. Can we charge? Rossi asks. Her voice is too controlled. Years have taught her to hide the want. Not yet, the agent says again. But the words feel thinner now. Less like a verdict, more like a stall. What you do have is leverage. Bring this to anyone who knew him. They're going to talk differently. Anyone who knew him. There aren't many left. Time has wiped out most of his circle if he ever had one. But there's one name in an old HR file that jumps out now. An assistant manager from a Staten Island location. Worked under Cole for 6 months. Quit suddenly. No reason listed. No follow-up. They track her down. Her name is Teresa now. Married, remarried, moved twice. She lives in a walk-up in Jersey City, half a lifetime away from greasy plates and overnight shifts. When they knock, she opens the door with guarded eyes that soften when she sees 2 faces, 2 badges, the past itself standing on her threshold. Is this about him? She asks before they say a word. She still remembers his habits, his smell, cigarettes and cheap aftershave, the way he always had a tape in his hand, always. He'd take them home sometimes, saying he needed to check for shrinkage. She didn't understand why a night manager would stay up after a double shift watching hours of people entering and leaving. One night she came in early for the breakfast rush. He was in the office, lights off, TV on. Same story Lauren told, different borough. On the screen, Teresa saw herself, wiping tables, taking orders, going out back to throw out the trash. The timestamp in the corner glowed 02:07. She watched herself disappear behind the kitchen door, watched the footage stutter, saw the door open again. Except this time in the version he was watching, she didn't come back into frame right away. Somebody else did, a shadow. The tape glitched. When it cleared, she was back, carrying a trash bag, whole, unharmed. He looked up at me and smiled, she says, voice shaking. Not happy, just this weird, flat little smile. I asked him what he was doing. He said he was fixing it. Fixing what? Garcia asks. He said, fixing the parts where things almost went wrong. The words hang there like frost. Did he ever mention a girl named Hannah? Queens, 1999. Teresa closes her eyes. Somewhere behind them, a snippet of memory rises from wherever she buried it. He said the city wasn't watching the right girls, that some of them walked around like ghosts already. She opens her eyes again sharply. He said one day nobody would even know they were gone unless he let them. Unless he let them, as if he owned their presence, their proof of existence. Why didn't you go to the police? Rossi asks, not accusing, just tired. I did, Teresa whispers. I called an anonymous tip line once. I said my manager was watching the tapes too much, that he scared me. You know what they told me? She mimics a bored voice, eyes hollow. If he hasn't touched you, there's nothing we can do, ma'am. She quit 2 shifts later, packed her life into a garbage bag, and left before the sun came up. Now she sits under a kitchen light, staring at an enhanced still of a man she knew once. A man caught staring into a camera in some nowhere town diner. That's him, she says, no hesitation, no doubt. That's Ray. Her statement goes into the file, another thread pulled tight, another voice saying the same name. The momentum builds, slow but undeniable. The FBI reclassifies the file. Potential serial offender, multi-state pattern, task force, small but real. Old reports are dug up, reread, relabeled under a new heading, possible Cole victim. But there is still no body for Hannah, no bone, no scrap of clothing beyond that beanie, no confirmed crime scene. And the man they're hunting? He's still technically just missing. Some late nights, Garcia imagines him sitting in a dark room somewhere, light of an old TV flickering across his face, watching the world move on without him, watching himself not be found. He imagines Cole smiling that flat little smile Teresa described, knowing that for all the science and task forces and enhanced tapes, one thing hasn't changed at all. The seconds he stole are still his. The girl who vanished in those seconds is still gone. And in the city where everything is taped now, where every corner has an eye, there's a cold, quiet truth. The first crime he ever perfected was not taking a life. It was taking evidence. By 2017, the city has changed its skin again. Glass towers where old brick used to be, ride shares instead of yellow cabs, phones in every hand, cameras in every pocket. The world is filming itself nonstop. But the ghost at the center of this story is still trapped on analog, still vanishing in a blur of static from 1999. Hannah Price is no longer a current headline. She's a cautionary footnote. Her flyer is a relic high on the bulletin board at the precinct, edges browned, tape yellowing. Newer faces are pinned over old ones. The board creaks with the weight of people the city swallowed and forgot. Garcia has retired by now, officially. Pension, little ceremony, sheet cake in the break room, his photo on the wall with a cheap brass plaque under it. But the day he clears his desk, the day he walks out with a cardboard box in his arms, there's one thing he doesn't leave behind: a copy of Hannah's file. Not the originals, he's not stupid, just photocopies, notes, still frames, a burned DVD of the enhanced tape. He keeps them in a plain folder in his apartment, under a stack of old newspapers. It's not protocol, it's not legal, technically. It's something else. A private pact with a girl he never met but talks to in his head on sleepless nights. He doesn't expect to be pulled back in. Retired cops don't usually get a second act. The city forgets them like it forgets its ghosts. But the world has changed. People don't wait for official answers anymore. They tell their own stories. It starts with a podcast. A young journalist, Brooklyn-based, restless, running a true crime series out of her bedroom with a USB mic and a laptop. City Shadows, it's called. Each season, she picks an unsolved case that's fallen off the radar and drags it back into the light. She finds Hannah's name buried in an old article about missing girls from the 90s. Something about the glitch hooks her, the missing minutes, the edited tape, the possibility of a predator hiding in the seams of surveillance. She files FOIA requests, digs through old police press releases, interviews anyone who'll talk. She finds Denise. The first time the recorder clicks on in that cramped Queens apartment, the air is thick with dust and memory. Denise hasn't taken Hannah's photos down. They're everywhere, on the walls, on the fridge, framed on the TV. Time hasn't moved in this room the same way it has outside. The journalist listens. She doesn't interrupt. Denise tells the story again, the same story she's told 100 times to 100 in different ears. Late shift, missing bus, the walk to the precinct at 4 a.m., the way the officer looked through her like she was overreacting. But this time, the story doesn't disappear into a report. It becomes an episode. Episode 1, The Tape That Glitched. It drops online on a Wednesday. By Friday, thousands of people are listening. By Sunday, hundreds of thousands. Twitter threads, Reddit posts. Cold case enthusiasts dissecting every second of audio, every scrap of detail. They talk about the diner chain, the missing waitress from 97, the upstate tapes. They talk about the man with the background face, even though his name is never officially released online. They christen him anyway. The editor, because that's what he did, didn't he? He cut and stitched and rewrote reality on VHS. The podcast doesn't reveal everything. It can't. Active investigations still exist in some form, even if they're barely flickering. Names are changed, locations blurred, but the internet reads between the lines. Someone finds an old bankruptcy document with the diner chain's name on it. Someone else digs up a 2006 local news piece about a mysterious crate of tapes turned over to NYPD by an upstate sheriff. Another listener claims their aunt worked at one of those diners and remembers a manager who lived in the office with the TVs. The story grows teeth. A blogger connects the timeline of the diners with unsolved disappearances along I-87 and I-80, late shifts, cold nights, women who never made it home. He draws a map that looks too much like the one Garcia once stared at in the squad room, threads spidering out from Queens, from Brooklyn, from anonymous highway exits. Screenshots of the enhanced still, Cole staring into the upstate diner camera, leak through someone who knows someone in law enforcement. The face goes viral. It's grainy, stretched, distorted by compression, but it hits people in a place they don't like to talk about. Because he looks familiar. Not in the I've seen this man before way, in the this man could be anyone way. The guy on the train, the night clerk at a 24-hour pharmacy, the neighbor who smokes on his stoop at 3 a.m. One comment on a forum sums it up. This dude has the most forgettable face I've ever seen, and that scares me more than any horror movie. The pressure builds. Media outlets pick up the podcast. Cable news runs a segment. Can a viral true crime show solve a 1999 New York cold case? Old detectives are called. Old decisions are questioned. Someone tracks down Garcia. He's in a small apartment in Astoria watching late-night reruns when the doorbell rings. A reporter stands there with a cameraman in tow and that hungry, bright-eyed look that says he smelled a story on the wind and followed it to this exact door. Detective Garcia? Not anymore, he says automatically. We'd like to talk to you about Hannah Price. He should close the door. He doesn't. The interview is careful. He doesn't reveal what he can't, but the emotion in his voice is honest. He talks about the first time he saw the tape, about the sick vacuum in his gut when the image jumped and she was gone, about the upstate storage unit, the tapes, the face staring back. We had a suspect, the reporter says gently. Why wasn't he arrested? Garcia looks past the camera, to some point only he can see. Because we didn't have enough to bring him in alive, he says, not in the way the system understands. The quote airs that night. It's clipped, re-uploaded, subtitled, shared. People latch onto one word, alive. If they didn't arrest him, where is he? The internet answers with theories. He's dead. He's in prison under another name. He's living in plain sight. He's watching the podcast laughing. Out of the noise, one message lands in the inbox of the City Shadows host. The subject line is simple. I worked with him. She almost deletes it, almost assumes it's another crank, but something about the body of the email feels different, specific, scared. The writer doesn't give a name at first, just initials. Says she worked at a highway diner in 2002 somewhere upstate, prefers not to say where, not yet. Says she had a manager named Ray who smoked too much, watched the cameras too much, and once said, "The highway's the best place to erase somebody. The world is already moving too fast to notice." Attached to the email is a photo, a Polaroid. Employees standing in front of a stainless steel counter, arms slung over each other's shoulders. And there, at the right edge of the frame, half cut off but still visible, is a man. Same hairline, same jaw, same background face. The journalist does what she's learned to do. She verifies, cross-checks staff lists, confirms the diner existed, that it closed in 2005. She reaches out to the woman, offers anonymity, turns on her recorder. This new voice adds color to a monster everyone's only seen in static. He was quiet, he was loyal, he was helpful, until he wasn't. He had rules about where the girls parked their cars, rules about leaving together, rules about which door to use at night. On the surface, safety. Underneath, control. And one night he slipped. He said, you don't know how easy it is to make a tape look like nothing happened. The podcast releases the new episode. The editor, voices from the night shift. The NYPD, publicly, claims they're reviewing any new information. Privately, Rossi is back in the building, sitting in a conference room, headphones on, listening to every second of every episode. She's still on the job, older now, lines deeper around her eyes. But when she hears the upstate waitress's voice, when she hears that erase somebody line, something raw flickers back to life inside her. She picks up the phone, calls Malik. "We're not done," she says. "He's moved up too. Better office, more toys. He's been working terrorism cases, gang wiretaps, encrypted phone dumps." But when she says diner tapes, he pulls a dusty hard drive off a shelf like it's never really left his desk. "We dragged as much as we could out of those signals," he says, plugging it in. "What changed?" "The world," Rossi says. "The world started paying attention." Public pressure does what internal memos never could. A new cold case initiative is launched with cameras in the room and politicians at the podium. They want a flagship solve, something they can point to and say, "Look, we closed what everyone thought was unclosable." The name on the board, Price Hannah, 1999. Cold case. Target. The task force is small but sharp. Old files, young tech, borrowed agents. They pull everything back into the light. Every tip, every rumor, every witness who once said, "I don't remember," and now might, under the weight of hearing their city chant a dead girl's name into microphones and comment sections. They look again at the Pulaski Bridge. Not the way they did back then. This time they bring new tools, ground-penetrating radar along the banks, drones over the water, old sonar maps from 2000 compared with new scans. The river is a graveyard of cars, shopping carts, junk. But there's a place where the silt shifted in an odd pattern around the winter she disappeared. Divers go down. They find metal, not a car, not a bike, a drum, rusted steel barrel, half buried, sealed. Hauling it up takes hours. The crowd that gathers on the shore is not random. There are phones up, podcast listeners, amateur sleuths, people who heard a story and decided it belonged to them too. When the barrel breaches the surface, cameras click like gunfire. It's taken to a lab. Chain of custody signed in triplicate. Forensic techs in masks and gloves work a meticulous circle around the corroded lid. Every move deliberate, slow. Inside, there is no body. No bones. Just clothes. A uniform. Diner apron, shirt, dark wool. And in the pile near the bottom, a badge. Plastic name tag, the print faint but there. H. Price. The room tilts for Rossi when she sees it. For a second, she's back in 1999, watching a grainy girl in a beanie step out into the cold. Now that girl's name is sitting in a rusted drum that someone hid under a bridge. They test everything, every fiber, every trace of DNA. There's degradation. Time did its work. Water, too. But from the sweat stains in the fabric, from a few stubborn skin cells clinging to the uniform's collar, they pull a partial profile. It matches Hannah. The headline writes itself. Break-in 1999, diner disappearance, uniform found in river barrel. The city doesn't say her name as a whisper now. It says it in block capitals, scrolling across screens, echoing through radio stations and notification alerts. The podcast drops an emergency episode. True crime forums crash under the stampede. It's still not a body, still not a cause of death, but it is something the task force never had before. Proof that someone took what she was wearing, sealed it in steel, and buried it where no one was supposed to look. People don't do that for runaways. They do that for evidence. They do that when they are fixing the parts where things almost went wrong. The DA's office calls a meeting, closed doors, thick walls, AI-enhanced screens showing side-by-side visuals, Cole's face, the coat, the glitch arm, the barrel, the badge, the pattern. We can't wait for a body, one prosecutor says. If he's alive, he's been free for 2 decades. If he's dead, we deserve a record of what he did. What are you proposing? Charge him in absentia, issue a warrant, name him, put a stake in the ground for history. You can't try a ghost. You can't drag a man into court if you don't know where he is, but you can do something else, something symbolic, something heavy. You can finally say out loud what everyone has been whispering. That Hannah Price did not just walk into the dark that night and disappear, that someone took her, and that the man who edited the tape, who collected the tapes, who told women it was easy to erase somebody, was not just a creep in a back office. He was a predator. And even if the law never closes a cell door on him, the story can close around his name like concrete. Outside the courthouse, under a sky pulsing with news helicopter lights, Denise stands with Rossi and Garcia at her sides. The press shoves microphones forward. The world wants a neat ending, a clean sound bite. They're not going to get one. Because somewhere between every question and every answer, between every frame of that tape and every second the barrel spent under the river, there's still a missing piece. Still a girl whose last breath, last step, last thought has never been found. And if you listen closely, under the sirens and camera shutters and podcast theme songs, you can hear it. The hollow, relentless echo of a case that the city is finally trying to close on paper. While in every late-night diner, every flickering security monitor, every lone figure crossing a bridge at 2 a.m., it remains exactly what it's always been. Wide open. They name him. That's the first real fracture in the silence. A podium, a seal, a row of microphones pointed like weapons. The district attorney steps up, papers in hand, cameras humming, the city holding its breath through 1,000 identical screens. Today, she says, we are announcing an indictment in the disappearance and presumed murder of Hannah Price. The name lands like a dropped weight, 17 years old again, December night again, tape glitching again. The city hears it differently now in a world wired for outrage. She keeps going, legal language, formal phrases. In absentia, Class A felony, tampering with physical evidence. Then the pivot, the part Denise never thought she would live to hear. We are also naming a suspect. On the screens behind the DA, a face appears. Not a sketch, not a composite. A frame pulled from an old upstate tape, sharpened, cleaned, stabilized. Raymond Cole. Middle-aged, lined, mouth flat, eyes that seem to be looking past the camera, past the room, past the years. A face that, if you didn't know better, you'd forget 5 seconds after seeing it. Background. The defendant, Raymond Cole, cannot be located at this time, the DA says carefully. A warrant has been issued for his arrest. Cannot be located. It's a polite way of saying we have his name, his face, his pattern, his trail of girls who never came home. What we don't have is him. Outside, the city explodes. Hashtags, think pieces. The editor trends worldwide. Every diner with flickering fluorescent lights suddenly looks like a crime scene. Every night manager with tired eyes is the subject of secret, nervous stares. People send in tips. Thousands of them. They've seen him in Florida, in Ohio, in Nevada, working the night shift at a motel off the interstate. Somebody claims he's a regular at a Vegas blackjack table. Somebody else swears he's a grocery bagger in a Walmart in Idaho. The task force filters the noise. 99% is nothing. Blurry security stills that could be anyone. Paranoid neighbor complaints. Men with similar hairlines who simply look tired and alone. But one tip is different. It comes not through a hotline, not through a Twitter DM, but from a clerk in a small-town post office in the Catskills who catches the news and feels something twist in her stomach. The face on the screen, the name. Years ago, she handled a P.O. box rental for a man called R. Kane. Paid in cash. Never stayed long. Came late, just before closing. Quiet, polite, forgettable. Forgettable, until she sees that jawline on her TV, aged but the same. She calls the number on the press release. Her voice shakes. She gives the box number, the dates, the forwarding address he once scribbled down and then changed his mind about, crossing it out halfway through the street name. Malik pulls the old rental forms from a faxed archive. The handwriting isn't a perfect match to Cole's diner labels. It's slower, more careful, but there are the same blocky letters, the same heavy pressure on the paper. They drive up. Rossi in the front, a state trooper behind, cold air biting as they step into a town that looks like a postcard. One main street, 2 diners, a church, a hardware store. The kind of place where everybody knows everybody and nobody really knows the ghosts passing through. The P.O. box is empty. Has been for years. Dust where letters once were. But every box has a rental history, payment months, logged visits, patterns. R. Kane rented the box in late 2004, kept it through mid-2007, never left a forwarding address when he vanished. He listed no phone number, no job, just a cash deposit and a driver's license number from another state that, when run, collapses into nothing. Fake! But the trooper remembers something else, a property out on the edge of town, a cabin, one of those places nobody really owns, they just fall into for a while. Rumors of squatters, hunters, people who want to be left alone. The kind of place a man like Cole would go when he needed fewer eyes. They drive out. Trees lean over the road, branches scratching the roof of the car like chalk fingers. The cabin sits behind a curtain of bare trunks, roof sagging, windows blind with dust. There's a faded no trespassing sign nailed to a tree that's grown around it, the letters half swallowed by bark. They go in anyway. The door groans open. The first breath of air from inside is mold, old smoke, and something else, metal, stale and thin, like the memory of videotape. The place has been empty a long time, mattress sagging on the floor, beer bottles crumpled in a corner, a chair overturned, a table scarred with cigarette burns, on one wall a small square void where something used to hang. A TV. They fan out. Rossi moves slow, careful not to step on anything they might need. In the bedroom, she finds a collapsed dresser, drawers half open, empty. In the kitchen, mouse droppings and broken plates. It feels abandoned, but not looted. Whoever left here took the things that mattered, the rest was shed like skin. Then Malik calls from the back. There's a small door in the floor, half covered by a rotting rug, a crawl space. Flashlights slice through the dark. The air down there is colder, more still. They crouch, sweep their beams along dirt and stone and spider webs. And there at the far end, stacked neatly like bricks, are tapes. Not many, not a crate like before, half a dozen, maybe 7. Dust clings to the plastic, some labels are faded, some are blank. One reads simply, City, DC 99. Rossi's fingers close around it like it might vanish. Back at the city lab, they're gentler than they've been with anything in years. Gloves, soft cloth, a machine that treats the old cassette like a museum piece. Malik threads the tape through the digitizer, jaw tight. The screen flickers. The image is familiar and wrong at the same time. It's not the Queen's Diner we know. It's not the night of Hannah's disappearance. The angle is different, wider. The tape is older. A city street, New York, snow piled in dirty banks against the curb, people in heavy coats bustling under neon signs. The timestamp in the corner reads 12/15/99, 3 days before Hannah vanishes. The camera is high, shaky. Not a mounted security cam, handheld. Someone standing at a window or on a fire escape filming down at the sidewalk. No sound, just the hum of VHS static. They watch. A group of teenagers passes laughing. A couple argues under a streetlight. A man in a Santa suit stumbles by, hat askew. And then at 003714, Hannah appears. There's no mistaking her. Same beanie, same coat, same backpack strap. She's with a friend this time, another girl her age. They cross the frame mid-laugh, heads bent close, breath fogging in the air. The camera follows them. It pans jerky amateur. The girls don't notice. They're too deep in whatever 17-year-old crisis matters that day. At the edge of the frame, a man steps back into the shadow of a doorway as they pass. You don't see his face, just his outline, just the way he turns his head toward them. The tape jumps once, not a full cut, just a hiccup. Suddenly the girls are farther down the block. The man is closer, still in shadow, still just a shape. You've got to be kidding me, Malik mutters. This isn't a security tape. This is him, watching, practicing, rehearsing. Someone held a camera that night and decided these two girls were worth following with a lens. Go frame by frame, Rossi says. Her voice is too calm. He does. Slow. Each image shivers into place. The man in the doorway steps out. For 2 frames, 3 maybe, the streetlight catches his profile before the scene lurches forward in another cheap edit. It's enough. They line that profile next to the upstate diner still. Jawline, nose, forehead. The software doesn't call it a perfect match. Real life never gives you perfect. It gives you 92% confidence and a fistful of doubt. But the human eye knows. It's him, in the city, watching Hannah before she ever steps out of that diner on December 18th. He didn't just find her by chance. He picked her. The tape keeps going. The girls vanish around a corner. The camera lingers a moment longer on the empty street, then cuts abruptly to black. The room feels smaller now. Because it's not just that he watched her, it's that there's more footage maybe, somewhere, of wherever he followed her that night. Maybe he filmed everything, maybe he kept it, maybe he destroyed it. Or maybe he did what he liked to do best. Edited the parts where things almost went wrong. The P.O. Box record shows the Catskills rental ending in summer 2007. After that, the trail gets even thinner. No legitimate addresses, no W-2 forms, no tax returns. It's as if he learned to erase himself as completely as he erased seconds on tape. The task force digs deeper. Birth records, foster care files, anything. They find a boy born Raymond Cohn in a rusted Pennsylvania town, 1956. Mother in and out of institutions. Father gone. Years in group homes with broken locks and overworked guards. One notation in a juvenile file. Obsessed with the TV room. Spends hours watching old movies, pausing and rewinding violence. He aged out of the system, changed his name, moved to New York, got a job where he could stand behind a counter and watch people without being seen. The story makes sense. Too much sense. People like stories that line up. Childhood neglect, early fixation, access, opportunity. It fits the script, but scripts aren't evidence. The DA can stand in front of as many microphones as she wants, say indicted, say suspect, say warrant, but behind closed doors in rooms where no cameras roll, The question gnaws at everyone. Is he even still alive? If he's dead, where's the record? No official death certificate, no John Doe with his fingerprints, no body in a ditch that matches his DNA. If he's alive, why has the pattern stopped? Has it? Somewhere in upstate files, in dusty boxes, there are 3 missing women between 2008 and 2010 that look like his type. Night workers. Last seen near highways. Cases filed under unknown offender, never tied to any larger web. The analysts don't agree. Some say they're his last echoes, the tired final acts of an aging predator. Others say they're noise, coincidence, chaos wearing a similar mask. On the internet, the answers are wilder. He's dead. He's in South America. He's a security consultant in Dubai. He's a ghost. He's in witness protection. He's the guy stocking shelves in your 24-hour grocery store watching you on the convex mirror above aisle 6. The podcast does a Where Is He Now episode. Listeners call in with theories. One woman says her father knew a man in a halfway house who used to stare at the TV and mutter, "They'll never find the rest." Another swears she saw him at a rest stop bathroom 3 years ago, eyes fixed on the hand dryer like it was a screen. It becomes a kind of urban legend, almost bigger than the girl at its center. Almost, but not for Denise. For her, there is no editor, no background face, no true crime season. There is only the void between 1:57 and 2:02 a.m. and the uniform they pulled out of that rusted drum. She goes to the bridge when she can, bundled against the wind, looking down at the water that carried her daughter's last trace. Sometimes Rossi goes with her, sometimes Garcia. They stand there in silence, each one chasing their own version of the same question. What does justice look like when the person you're pointing at is just an image on a screen, and the thing you need from him, where he put her, what he did to her, is buried under edits he made 25 years ago? The task force drafts a statement for the family, carefully chosen words. We now believe, we are confident, we cannot say with certainty. The cold case unit, under pressure to show progress, considers something none of them would have dared in 1999. Closing. Not in the way people think, not as in solved, boxed, done, but administratively. Reclassified from open active to cleared by exception. The suspect identified, evidence tied, no realistic chance of arrest. On a form, in a database, it would look clean. A line moving from to coal, a statistical victory. On a tape, in a city that still holds its breath when a girl walks home alone at 2 a.m., it would be something else. The end of questions from detectives. The beginning of a quieter, more private kind of haunting. The file sits on a conference table, pen on top, signature line waiting. Rossi stares at it as the fluorescent light hums above her. Malik's report, the podcast transcripts, the P.O. box, the cabin tapes, the uniform, the badge, everything funnels down to this thin strip of ink. Sign, and the system will finally say what everyone's wanted it to say. New York, 1999, cold case closed. But paper is cheap. Ink is easy. And somewhere, in some forgotten corner of the world where nobody asks for ID late at night, a man who taught himself how to cut pieces out of reality might still be out there, eyes on a screen, fast-forwarding through a city that never stops moving, watching, rewinding, making sure that the worst seconds of some other girl's life never belong to anyone but him. The pen looks harmless. Blue plastic, cheap, the kind you find in a mug on any desk, in any office in any city. But right now it weighs more than a gun, more than a badge, more than the years between a 17-year-old girl stepping out of a diner and the rusted drum they dragged out of the river. Rossi rolls it between her fingers. The form in front of her is simple. Case number, victim name, status, a box to check, cleared, suspect identified, no arrest, a signature line, a date. The lieutenant stands in the doorway, arms folded, trying to look neutral and failing. It's procedural, he says. We're not burying it, we're just reflecting reality. Whose reality? Outside the glass, the squad room hums. Phones ring. New cases pour in. Fresh bodies. Fresh grief. There's always something more urgent than a girl swallowed 26 years ago. Rossi stares at the line where her name is supposed to go. It feels like a lie and a confession at the same time. They've got the tapes, the enhanced frames, the cabin, the P.O. box, the uniform and the drum, the partial DNA, the patterns stretching from Queens to nowhere diners off old highways. They've got a man with a background face and a childhood that reads like a path in wet cement towards something broken and dangerous. What they don't have is Hannah. They don't have her last breath. They don't have a place they can point to and say, here, this is where it ended. Paper doesn't change the work, Malik says quietly from the corner. He's here, leaning against a filing cabinet, arms crossed, hoodie at war with his ID badge. We can keep looking, with or without a checkbox. He's right, and he's wrong, because the system believes its own forms. Once a box is checked, resources move. Phones go quiet. Files slide deeper down the stack. Rossi signs. The pen scratches across the page, a small, ugly sound. The lieutenant nods, collects the form like it's nothing more than another piece of paper in a building full of them. Case status closed, the database will say by the end of the day. On every podcast forum and every late-night diner with a TV hissing in the corner, the story is the opposite. The host of City Shadows, her name is Maya, though most people know her only by voice, refreshes the news site on her laptop so many times the browser freezes. When the headline finally loads, her heart stutters. NYC cold case administratively cleared. Suspect named in 1999 diner disappearance. She scans. She sees the words Raymond Cole, indictment in absentia. No further investigative leads at this time. She sees closure 3 times. Closure. That's the word they always use when there's nothing left to do that makes sense on a spreadsheet. She hits record. No script, no sponsor break, no theme music, just her voice, raw and too fast. This is a bonus update, she says into the mic. You've probably seen the news. They're saying Hannah's case is closed. I want you to hear it from me first. Pieces of this story just got written in ink, but nothing about this feels finished. Listeners flood her inbox, angry, grieving, grateful that someone, anyone, is speaking about closure like the hollow thing it is. One message stands out. No subject line, no greeting, just a short, blunt text. You think it's closed because they said his name. You're wrong. He wasn't the only one watching. Attached is a file. No explanation, no signature. Just a file name, cut or one MP4. Maya has opened a lot of things in the last 2 seasons that she probably shouldn't have. This one feels different, cold, heavy. She drags the file into her player and hits space. Static. Then an image, VHS noise baked into digital, a camera pointed at a TV screen recording something that was already a recording once, maybe twice, a copy of a crime. On the TV, familiar shapes, a counter, a door, a girl in a beanie leaving a diner. The tiny numbers in the corner of the TV say 1:57 a.m., 12/18/99. Hannah. Maya's throat tightens. She's seen this footage 100 times in her research, but never from this angle. This is not the original tape from the diner. This is someone filming the tape. On the audio track, a faint wheeze, someone breathing close to the lens, someone watching. The image jumps as the infamous glitch hits. Static floods the screen. In the reflection on the TV glass, just for a second, you can see the outline of a person holding the camera, shoulders, head, the curve of a hand. The static clears, the empty sidewalk appears. But the recording doesn't stop. The camera pulls back slightly, enough to show the room. It's dark, a single lamp in the corner. Walls close in, stained and cracked. On a table beside the TV, a stack of tapes. On the floor, a pair of boots. And in the lower edge of the frame, in the glow from the screen, a hand, not holding the camera, resting on a knee. The hand twitches once, the breathing gets louder. Then the file cuts. No timestamp, no location, no face. Just that breathing, that hand, that room. Maya stares at the paused frame until her eyes hurt. This isn't some true crime fan downloading publicly available footage and refilming it. This angle doesn't exist online. This is someone who had access to the original tape, sitting in the dark, recording themselves watching Hannah disappear. Why send it now? Why send it to her? She forwards the file to the task force with shaking fingers. Then she does the only thing she knows how to do. She talks. The emergency episode goes live that night. Cut 001, she calls it. She plays portions of the audio, describes the visuals in exact, careful detail. Blocks out the moments that feel like voyeurism layered on top of voyeurism. We know Cole took tapes home, she says. We know he watched them, but this doesn't feel like him bragging. This feels like someone else, someone documenting him, or documenting themselves watching him. The city listens, so does the task force. In a lab across the river, Malik drags the MP4 into his software. The first step is boring. Encoding analysis, compression artifacts. He needs to know if the file is real or some deepfake stitched together by a bored sociopath with too much time and software. It's real. Late 90s VHS noise, early 2000s consumer-grade DV camera overlay, modern re-encoding for web transfer, 3 technological eras stacked on top of each other like sediment. He focuses on the reflection in the TV screen. It's distorted, curved. The glass turns everything into a stretched funhouse smear, but there's enough. Height estimate from the angle, rough shoulder width, the way the camera is held, too low for a tripod, too steady for a child, adult, maybe male, maybe not. He isolates the hand on the knee. Pale, large knuckles, nail on the index finger broken at the edge, a faint mark on the wrist that might be a scar, might be a vein, might be nothing at all. There's no face. Of course there isn't. Rossi paces behind him, one hand pressed to her mouth. Could it be him? Maybe, Malik says, but honestly, if I had to bet, this feels like somebody else in the room, somebody filming him watching her. Why? Because the breathing is wrong, he says. You hear how close it is to the mic? That's whoever's holding the camera. But the hand on the knee is too still. That's someone else. Someone sitting, watching. 2 people, 1 TV. 1 girl on the screen. 1 vanish. It was easier when they thought the editor was 1 man, 1 predator, 1 face to pin the horror on. Now the edges blur. Accomplice, witness, student, or someone who found him later. Someone who found the tapes. Someone who is still, right now, out there, ripping them into files and sending them to a podcast host like a message in a bottle. Maya's inbox explodes. Claims, threats, confessions that don't quite line up. Among the flood, one new email from the same anonymous address. You're wrong, it says. They'll never close it. Not really. Not while the rest exist. No attachment this time. No signature. Just coordinates. Not written like coordinates, but Malik recognizes the pattern when the email is forwarded to the task force. 2 numbers, separated by a comma, a place in New York State, woods, a highway nearby. They go. Of course they go. Marked cars this time. More bodies. They're not going to crawl into some stranger's trap with a skeleton crew. Rossi insists on going herself. Garcia, technically retired, shows up at the precinct that morning like he just happened to be in the area. No one sends him home. The coordinates lead them to a rest stop that used to be something else. The sign is faded. The vending machines are gone. All that's left is a cracked parking lot, a picnic table, and a line of trees that look like they've been watching human mistakes for 50 years. At the edge of the lot, beyond a patch of dead grass, the dirt is disturbed. Not fresh, not recent, but once, years ago, someone dug here. They bring dogs, shovels, patience. The soil gives up trash first, old cans, a rusted license plate, a bottle shattered into dull, sea glass edges. Then something else. Plastic? Not a barrel, not a suitcase, a box, heavy-duty storage container, the kind you buy when you want to keep water out and secrets in. The lid is duct-taped. Every headlamp angle feels like an accusation as they haul it onto level ground. Photos, measurements, then the slow, ceremonial slice of tape under latex gloves. Inside tapes. More than in the cabin, less than a crate. On top of the stack, there's a folded piece of paper. No dust, no yellowing, new ink, new creases. Someone put it there after the box was buried, then dug it up, then buried it again. Or someone has been visiting. Rossi unfolds it. 3 words, printed in block capitals that are not quite Coles, not quite not. You missed these. The tapes are labeled in different hands. Some neat, some rushed, some in all caps, some with just dates, but a few have a style they recognize, that thick, blunt diner script. Jewel 97, back. APR's 01, lot. Deck 99, side. There it is again. That month, that year, that orbit. They take the box home. They watch. The hours blur. Rooms spin. The tapes are worse than the crate from upstate. These aren't static overnight feeds. These are curated, scenes spliced together, moments chosen. Someone has already edited them. Parking lots, back alleys, side doors. Girls stepping out after shifts, men loitering near cars, the slow, ugly ballet of fear and routine playing out in grainy blues and grays. On one tape marked APR01, a lot, they see a woman in a red jacket walking to her car behind a highway diner. A man moves toward her from the shadows. She turns. He stops. She fumbles for her keys, drops them, laughs nervously, gets into her car, drives away. A near miss. On another tape, Jewel 97, back. A girl smokes behind a Brooklyn diner, flicking ash into a puddle. Someone is watching her from a second-story window, camera pressed to the glass. She looks up once, directly into the lens, squints, then shrugs and looks away. On DC 99 side, they find it. Not the Queen's Diner, another one, same chain, different borough. The camera is set up across the street, hidden behind a newspaper stand, angled at the side exit. A girl in a uniform steps out, ties her hair up, lights a cigarette. She's not Hannah, different face, different smile. At the edge of the frame, a figure in a heavy coat leans against the wall. They talk. You can't hear the words, but you can see the body language. Distance, then a step closer, then another. Her shoulders go tight. She laughs. He leans in. A car pulls into the lot. Headlights flare across the scene, bleaching everything white. When the light fades, the man is gone. The girl is alone, rubbing her arms. Cigarette burned to the filter. She drops it, crushes it, goes back inside. The date is 3 days before Hannah vanishes. Same week, same month, same orbit. A rehearsal, or a selection. They scrub the edges of the frames, looking for faces, shadows, anything. Every time they get close, the tape wobbles, the pixels tear, the moment refuses to resolve. It's like fighting fog. But the real message isn't on the tapes. It's in the fact that they were there at all. Buried, marked, sent. Someone is curating this story alongside them. Someone who has access to the same raw material, maybe more. Someone who wanted them to know they missed these. Someone who doesn't want the case truly closed. That's the part that keeps Rossi up at night now. Not the old terror of a man who hunted girls under neon and snow, but the new terror of an unseen hand pushing pieces across the board from the dark. If Cole is dead, who's doing this? If Cole is alive, why is he sharing his trophies? If this is some scavenger who found his archive in a storage unit or a foreclosed house and decided to play director with other people's trauma, then the story is no longer just about one predator. It's about whoever comes after. Garcia sits in his apartment with the news on mute and the latest episode of City Shadows playing in one earbud. He listens to Maya describe the rest stop, the box, the note. The case is officially closed on paper, she says, but someone out there is still editing it. He looks at the framed copy of Hannah's missing poster on his wall. At the corner, the paper is curling. In Queens, Denise doesn't listen to the podcast. She can't. The sound of her daughter's name passing through strangers' mouths hurts in a way no one records. But she hears about the new box from Rossi, carefully, gently, over tea that's gone cold. So it's not over, Denise says quietly. No, Rossi says. I don't think it ever really was. The city loves an ending, a neat line. Case closed. But under the headlines, under the database entries, under the polite press conferences, the truth refuses to sit still. Somewhere in a room lit only by a TV screen, someone hits rewind. Stops on a frame where a girl is mid-step, mid-laugh, mid-life. Stares, breathes, and decides which seconds belong to the world and which ones stay locked forever in the dark between frames. The first thing they try to trace is the email. That's the reflex now. In a city wired through routers and towers and whispers, you don't chase footprints anymore, you chase packets. Malik pulls headers, routes, hops. The anonymous account runs through a free provider, masked behind a VPN, bounced through 3 continents and back. Typical, predictable, but the last hop, the one right before the chain drops into the noise, lands somewhere familiar. Queens. Not Hannah's neighborhood, but close enough that the air feels colder when he says it out loud. A library, public, fluorescent, rows of desktops that thousands of people touch and forget every month. He calls Rossi. They walk into the library together like normal patrons, civilians in business casual armor. Inside, it smells like paper, dust, old air conditioning, kids at the front desk, students hunched over laptops, one guy snoring softly against a stack of newspapers. The computer lab is in the back. A glass-walled room with a sign-in sheet and a board attendant who doesn't look up when they flash badges. Late-night users, Malik says. We need logs for the last 2 weeks. Anybody on Station 6 in particular. Station 6, that's where the last hop resolves. Not to a named user, just a machine number in a city where no one owns the things they use to talk to the world. The attendant scrolls through a digital registry, names typed with one finger, sometimes just initials, sometimes fake. But there it is in the timestamp column, 2 sessions that match the emails, no library card numbers attached. Guest passes. The name in the box reads H. Price. For a second, the room tilts. Rossi's stomach drops through the floor. It's a joke. It has to be. Somebody who listened to the podcast, watched the press conference, walked into a library and thought they were clever. Security footage? She asks, voice flatter than she wants. The attendant shrugs. Cameras at the doors. Not in here. Of course not. Privacy, budget, blind spots. Always blind spots. They pull the entrance footage anyway. The grainy video shows a stream of faces entering and leaving around the times in question. Coats, hats, bags, hoods. One person could be 100. On the first day, a woman with a stroller, a man in a delivery uniform, a teenager in a hoodie, an older guy in a beanie with headphones clamped around his neck. They freeze, zoom, enhance, but the angles are bad. No one walks in with, I am sending you a message from inside your own case, written on their forehead. On the second day, the pattern repeats. Different faces, same anonymity. A figure in a dark parka with the hood up slips past the desk without looking up. Hands in pockets, head down. They could be 30, they could be 50, they could be anyone. The session logs say they stayed 47 minutes, logged into email, attached a file, logged out, then disappeared back onto the sidewalk where cameras stopped caring. If it's Cole, he's changed. Age, posture, density. If it's not, then someone out there is using Hannah's name like a mask. Back at the precinct, the lieutenant says what policy demands. Could be a prank, he offers. You stir up a story this big, you'll pull every lunatic out of the woodwork. Malik plays the MP4 again, the breathing, the hand, the room. That's a real videotape, he says quietly. That's not some kid on Reddit. They could go public, release stills from the MP4, ask the world again to help them identify a shadow. The DA's office floats the idea for half an hour before killing it. Too risky, too much chance of ruining something they don't fully understand. You don't let the audience direct the investigation, the DA says. Not officially. Unofficially, the audience is already steering it. Maya's downloads spike after cut 0001. The forums churn. A new faction emerges among the listeners. People convinced the anonymous sender isn't Cole, isn't some random, but someone else entirely. Someone who wants to be found. They start calling them the archivist. If the editor took things out of reality, this one is putting them back. Theories multiply. A former coworker, a survivor, a cop, a relative, a kid who grew up in one of the houses where Cole left his ghosts. Between segments and sponsor reads, Maya admits what she won't say in front of a camera. The email scared her more than the tapes ever did. Tapes are past tense, evidence of something already done. An anonymous hand steering her inbox is present tense. In late-night voice memos to herself she never airs, she wonders if she made a mistake. If saying his name into a microphone woke something up that had learned to sleep. In Queens, Rossi goes by Denise's apartment again. She doesn't bring the MP4. She doesn't mention the library. She won't feed that particular horror. She brings groceries instead, sits on the worn couch beneath the photos, asks about nothing important, weather, food, the building's new landlord. But Denise watches her carefully. What's happening? She asks at last. Really? Rossi hesitates. She's lied on witness stands before, technically. Bent edges, shaded intent. This feels worse. There are people talking about Hannah again, she says. More than before. Some of them have things we didn't see back then. Denise's hands tighten around her mug. Does it change anything? Maybe, Rossi says. Not the past, but maybe the way it's remembered. Denise exhales, a sound almost like a laugh. Remembered, she repeats. They act like that's enough, like a story is a body. It sits between them, heavy, true. Because that's what this has become now, a story. Consumable, shareable, indexed. People in other countries know Hannah's name, know the phrase New York 1999 cold case closed, like it's a movie title. They say it with fascination, fear, empathy. But they don't say it like a mother staring at an empty chair says it. 2 weeks after the rest stop box, another email arrives. Same account, same flat, unfriendly text. You keep looking at him, it reads. You're not asking why he let you see what he wanted. No attachment this time. Malik stares at the line until the words blur. What does that even mean? One of the younger detectives asks over his shoulder. It means we've been so focused on what he cut, Malik says slowly. We forgot to ask what he chose not to cut. The tapes weren't random. The glitches weren't accidents. He edited something, but he also left something. A pattern for anyone obsessed enough to follow. What if he wanted us to build this, he says, tapping a stack of case files. The legend, the name, the story, the editor, the cold case, the fear. Serials love credit, the young detective shrugs. Maybe, or maybe someone around him loved the idea of shaping it. They go back, all the way back, to the first diner, the first camera, the first tape that ever glitched. Brooklyn, 1997. The missing waitress. The jump cut. The faint trace of someone in the corner of the frame that the old text wrote off as noise. Malik runs the footage through his modern filters again. Not looking for faces this time. Looking for hands, angles, patterns. He finds something small and stupid and enormous. In 3 separate locations, 3 separate years, 3 separate scenes, the camera is slightly off level, tilting just a hair to the left, the sort of thing a human gets used to if their right shoulder sits lower than their left. Minor, harmless, unless you're trying to differentiate who's behind a lens you never see. Cole's handheld tape from the city, the one labeled City, D key 99, tilts right. Natural, he was probably right-handed. Most people are. The MP4 of someone filming his TV tilts left. So does one of the upstate diner tapes that was clearly shot from a second-story window, not a mounted rig. So does the DEC99 side tape from the rest stop box. Different eyes, Malik says. You're saying there were 2 of them? Rossi asks. At least, he says. Maybe more. But minimum, someone else was learning from him. Someone else was there long enough to pick up his habits and twist them. An apprentice, one detective mutters. No, Rossi says. Her voice is low, dangerous. An accomplice. The word hits the room with the same force as suspect did years earlier. It cracks something open that had been set in concrete, because if there was an accomplice, then the story doesn't end with Cole's name on a warrant and a case status box checked in a database. It means the thing they're chasing might not be old and faded and buried at all. It might be standing in a library now, logging into a free email account under a dead girl's name. It might be buying a cheap camera. Watching the world learn to be afraid of a man who is no longer the only monster in the frame. Maya gets wind of the accomplice theory through one of her sources. She can't confirm it. Nobody will go on record. But the possibility is like gasoline on a fire. She records late that night, voice strained, lighter than she feels. If the editor wasn't alone, she says, if there was another set of eyes behind the tapes, then we're dealing with more than a ghost from the 90s. We're dealing with the echo he left behind. The message boards light up. People talk about copycats, about legacy, about how violence travels, not just in blood, but in ideas. There are those who say this is all-reaching, that cold cases breed paranoia, that once you start seeing patterns, you can connect any 2 points with enough string. There are those who shut their laptops at midnight, lock their doors, double-check the peephole, and still see a blank background face staring back at them from the dark. In an office heavy with old paper, Garcia sits alone with a photocopy of the administrative closure form. Case cleared, suspect identified, no arrest. On a legal level, that's the end. On a human level, it's the midpoint of a story that refuses to obey structure. He pulls out the DVD of Hannah's tape, the enhanced one. He doesn't watch the glitch anymore. He knows that gap by heart. He watches her before it. The way she wipes her hands on her apron, the little bounce in her step as she waves goodbye to the cook, the adjustment she makes to her backpack strap. Normal. Ordinary, filled with quiet, everyday life. He pauses on the frame where her hand is on the door, pushing it open, fingers spread. Everything that matters is right here, he mutters, before he ever got his hands on the tape. Because that's the part none of them can edit, no matter how many times the footage jumps. Not Cole, not the archivist, not the DA, not the podcaster, the listeners, the detectives, the reporters. In the end, what happened between 1:57 and 2:02 exists in some place beyond all of them. A locked vault of seconds held by a man who may never be found and by someone else who is still, for reasons no one understands, feeding the case oxygen from the shadows. The title scrolls across 1,000 podcast apps, 1,000 search results, 1,000 late-night rabbit holes. New York, 1999, cold case closed. But in living rooms and headphones, in the hollow space where a mother sits alone at her kitchen table, the word closed falls apart the second it's spoken. Because the girl at the center of it isn't a line on a form or a face on a screen. She's a doorway that never finished opening. A step that never landed. A voice cut off mid-sentence by someone who thought they could decide which parts of reality the rest of the world ever gets to see. And somewhere, in the city that taught him how to disappear, someone else is still pressing play, pause, rewind on those missing seconds, deciding frame by frame how much of the truth they're willing to give back.